Welcome to the CDP, the Commercial Directors Podcast, where we discuss all things commercial directing, treatments, pitching, problem solving on set, and commercial breakdowns. Now you host Evan Swinehart.
3, 2, 1, talk to me.
All right, everybody, welcome to the CDP. Pumped to be here with Syra McCarthy. Syra is a director with Even Odd, and Syra is a first on the show. She's also a very talented actress and does a lot of acting in shows, movies, commercials, but also in her own spots. And that's what we're going to break down today. Super excited to kind of get her take on working with actors and also directing yourself behind the camera, because I don't understand how that works at all. So Syra, welcome to the show, and thank you so much for joining. I can't wait to dive in with you today.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me. Stoked to be here.
Great. Well, let's just get into it. Kind of just tell everybody how you got into directing and kind of how you came into this career and also acting.
Sure. I kind of started pretty young. My brother and I started making movies probably when I started when I was 6. So he made like a feature when he was in high school. He's like 8 years older than me. This like gangster film set in the suburbs, but with all his like friends who were like 15, 16 years old. And I played the younger version of him. And I got to like rob someone and cuss on screen, which I was really excited about. And from then on, we just were always making stuff in like the suburbs of San Jose. And I would play with all the VHS cameras and DV cams we had at the house and would make my own little short films with my friends. I started playing with like genre, like horror and kung fu and like music video stuff all through high school and like still acting. I would like star in a lot of his shorts and things that he would make. And then I went to film school at SF State, and I was always working. He has a production company in the Bay, and I was working for his company as like a PA, and he would like kind of try to train me in different positions. And I went to film school, and then I also went to film school at the University of Technology in Sydney. And then I spent a couple years after college, like I bought my like first 5D camera when they came out. And I had learned everything in school on film. So I was very confused when I was trying to figure out how to work these cameras, and started doing like documentary work for nonprofits. This nonprofit company my friend ran called Reach Out Volunteers. And so I traveled around like Cambodia and South Africa, doing documentary work for a bit. And then in my like early 20s, I met a friend who was just becoming a DP, who's like now a very well-established DP. His name's Michael Erickson. And we started a production company together when we were in our like 21, not fully knowing what we were doing, like a lot of natural light stuff. But we were making a lot of Kickstarter videos. Then we started doing product videos and commercials and kind of exploring that world for a couple of years. And then we both went freelance. I started doing my own kind of like one-woman gimbal drone, A7S2 kind of vibe, shooting, editing, a lot of like brand content stuff. That's when I kind of got my commercial agent in my like mid-20s and started shooting a lot of commercials on like bigger productions and learning a lot from those productions. And then those companies started hiring me to work with them because I had a portfolio and like I had a breadth of experience and kind of like knew everything in the language. And it was kind of just like leveling up through that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. So when you were doing this, like was your acting career then going simultaneously? Like what kind of took off faster? Was it like you were getting more acting gigs or kind of more directing gigs?
I was getting more acting gigs. Yeah, I worked in restaurants for like 15, 16 years, and it wasn't until I really was started in the commercial acting game to where I could actually leave the restaurant industry. And then it almost flipped now. But yeah, I think it was like the acting world. And I mean, while I was doing like brand content stuff on myself, I was also shooting like indie films and here and there. But yeah, it was really, I think, the commercial acting world in the Bay Area specifically, because like the tech was booming. I think it was also really in on trend and like a new thing for people to really want like an ethnically ambiguous you know, actor to kind of represent like diversity and representation, where I think getting like a lot more at the forefront. And so I think I just came in at a time that worked.
Talk about too the Bay Area, because like I think it's such a unique place to be a director because of all the tech companies, and kind of the spot we're going to break down I think is a great example of that. And I know a lot of commercial directors who started in the Bay Area, you know, and they're kind of working directly with these tech companies, and then they get signed on production companies or maybe go to more like traditional work. But it's a lot of like either like explainers or how to, but done like really well and creatively. So I don't know. I'm just curious, like, what is your experience in the Bay Area? Like, are you doing a ton of work like that, or, and I guess also like, do you like working direct to brand, or do you prefer more like the agency stuff?
Totally. The Bay Area is just like a very, very special place when it comes to like a film community. And I think you could probably relate. And like at a smaller market, it's just a little more intimate. Everybody kind of knows each other, and the production companies know each other. And a lot of the production companies, not all of them, but a lot of them were birthed out of like Goodby. For example, people like came and were working at these ad agencies, left, started their own company. And so everybody kind of knows each other and are friends, and all, you know, like G&E and all the departments, they work across all these companies. So it's kind of like one working organism. And a lot of the directors, you know, flow in and out, and we all like, everybody goes to each other's parties. It's very sweet. And there's so many tech companies in the Bay. And so yeah, there's a lot of tech explainer for sure. There's a lot of talking head stuff. Like that's definitely the bread and butter of the Bay Area film community. And then there's a lot of people doing passion projects and like a lot of creative things going on that is funded through, you know, all those talking head things. But because it's direct to client and there's so many creative companies, there's like a special niche for making tech talk interesting, you know, or like they're constantly trying to figure out ways to, I don't know, get more creative when it comes to that world. And so there's a lot more opportunities to try that because every company there's a lot to explain, if that makes sense.
No, for sure.
More creative control depending on the you know, depending on the client, but like you're in the driver's seat in terms of like that's your expertise as the production company. So you can kind of guide the client towards the better creative decisions, I feel. Is an agency better or not? It's just, it doesn't, I say, I love working with agencies because I think that there's just a breadth of experience and elevation and understanding of client that is nice, that you can just speak high level on a lot of things. And I feel like things can go a lot quicker. But yeah, sometimes the game of telephone, is it
right
or not?
Right. Yeah. Like you have way more like direct access to the client when you're working directly with brand versus kind of having a middleman, if you will, to kind of have to communicate through. Do you find those tech companies too, like they trust you? Like, are you able to just kind of like pitch ideas and take control, or are they pretty set in their ways with their creative?
No, I feel like they want ideas, you know? So from my experience, it's always like we pitch, or the production company I'm working with has creative that they're pitching that I kind of have a little bit of say on, or I had create it myself and pitch. But we usually do like 3 options or something along those lines, or there's like a little bit of rough guidelines or boundaries, and then we create within those boundaries and offer up options. But yeah.
Well, let's transition to like you as an actor and director. We did like a pre-interview call, and I like absolutely loved that conversation. I like came away so inspired and motivated from your insight. So I'm excited for you to kind of tell everybody what you told me. And so let's just first start off with like, you know, you were kind of, so since you were kind of like getting more acting gigs at first than directing, like as an actor, like what is like the biggest thing you learned to make you a better director?
Yeah, many things. Like, I observe directors I've learned many things I want to do, some that I definitely know I don't want to do. But like with every director I've worked with, I'll always kind of like take one little thing or something that I like. Like, I know Adam Patch, every time he gives a note to someone or like does an adjustment, he'll say like, hey, can this happen? Thank you. And he'll always add like a thank you. It's just like baked into the way he gives notes. And I just think that thank you goes such a long way when we're in this like quick moving world. I'd say like Karina Evans I worked with once, and every time it was a client note, she would come up to me and say, technical note, this, and that. And like, I just knew that it wasn't her note, it was a client note. And so therefore, for some reason, the way I digest that feels more like in line and in tune. Because I think commercials as an actor can be hard. They're very technical. Mm-hmm. There's many voices. So like compare it to narrative acting, right? Where it's kind of like you're searching for this one kind of truth behind this character that you can talk to the director about. And it's just like the two of you. There's, agency, and then there's client, and then there's timing, because you have to also fit it up, the blocking within a certain amount of time. So there's many voices. And I think as an actor, you have to kind of, I know where the voices come from. I feel better when I like know it's an agency note and I know it's a director's note, or
because you're not going to listen to the client note.
No,
just kidding.
Because it's just the more information, the better.
Yeah.
I think like actors are like kind of the last on the line of communication.
Oh, for sure.
A lot of commercial productions, like they get to set and it's like they don't know the schedule or like how much exactly they prepared for. Sometimes they don't know that they have lines, or like they don't know the concept. So the more information you have, the more I think they are empowered to be able to like make creative decisions and understand the tone we're living in. Even in the auditions, like I'll sometimes try to send a reference spot or load them just with as much information of how much they could play with. And And so before a shoot, I'll try to like be like, hey, let's make sure they get the storyboards. Let's make sure they get the schedule so they like see when their coverage is coming. When, if it's a lot of dialogue to memorize, like what to prioritize at what time of the day, if they want to like drill it beforehand. And I think just being an actor can be really, I don't know. I mean, we're all self-conscious as humans sometimes. And when you are in front of like a new environment and a new energy and everything's moving so fast, I think that like validation goes a long way. So even just stating like, hey, every take we do is an option. Basically, there are no wrong choices. And so feel free in that sense, because, you know, you don't know how much experience each actor has or like where they are. So it's very easy to take notes as like, oh, we're not necessarily getting it right. So therefore, if it's a note from a director and then a note from agency and a note from client, it's like all of those takes could be awesome in their own way. But like in their minds, you could be like, oh, it's not necessary. It's like, I'm not quite doing it the way that anybody wants me to do it. And like, that's the death of like the actor's confidence.
Right.
So to be able to create a space where like we're here, we're just playing, you know? And so like all these little notes that I'm giving are just like tossing this against the board and seeing what happens, and like seeing what you bring and like seeing what magic happens. And it's all fun, and it's all like it's all its own unique moment. It's all these like fleeting moments that we're just playing with. So we have all these pieces to play with in the edit. And so I think communicating that is essential. And even when I know that that's how this all works as an actor, like I can get on sets where I'm just like, oh, the energy is like, I feel the stress of everyone.
Yeah.
And like, I see agency just like, for some reason, they're not at Video Village. And I see agency being like, looking at the monitor and then just kind of like going, after a take, like that was okay. And like, even though I know like I shouldn't be seeing you, and like that was an option of a take, it still like kills your confidence a little bit.
Yeah. There's so much great stuff you just mentioned that I want to get to. Like, so yeah, let's stay there, because energy on set to me is huge. Like, you're exactly right. Like, you can just walk into some sets and like it just feels off. Or I know there's just some days I show up and it's like, I don't know, I just don't have the energy. And then I get to the set and it's like, okay, my energy is affecting this whole set. You know what I mean? And it's crazy how, like you said, I think if you almost like lead with like empathy in a way, and if an actor is not maybe getting exactly what you want, but like you're still like giving them like compliments and encouragement, you know, or sending notes in a way that's not just like super like degrading to try to like keep that energy up, you know, it goes like such a long way. So what are maybe some like tips and tricks that you do to like kind of like make sure that energy is good, but like say you're working with an actor and they're just like not getting to where you want to get to, like how do you kind of steer them in the right direction?
Yeah, you know, it's funny. I'm in an edit right now for something I shot last week, and I remember feeling in the moment like, oh, it's not quite what I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And I like gave adjustments, and I'm looking back at all these takes and I'm like, that was a great take. Like I have a completely different perspective away from it.
Yeah.
It just reinforces that idea that I just think as long as it's true, I mean, it can be fake and we could all, you know, we're all creating movie magic here. And maybe it's like the actor nerding out in me, but I think is finding thought to have the actor find truth in is really essential. So I would maybe just change the thought or the situation at hand. And I would also give a lot of validation. So like, that was great. I loved that. Let's try a version where, those are the words I use a lot. Let's try a version. Because it re-emphasizes in a shorter amount of time that like we're playing. That was one version. Here, let's play with a new version. And I would just probably change the energy. So maybe this guy is going and he's turning around and like looking at a character. I would be like, yeah, what if she yelled at you like a hey, and then like it changes the like reaction. Or like, what if she whispered, hey, and he's like, and it's just, I think the energy and blocking of thought would be something that has the most breadth of change.
No, absolutely. And you keep mentioning play. And I had a note from our first call. You were talking about pure play. You're like, it's just like pure play and kind of like creating this sandbox for them. Can you kind of just like dive more into play and like why as an actor that's important to maybe have like not such tight boundaries to work within, and like when you're on set with your actors or yourself as an actor, like what that play means and kind of how you establish that play and the boundaries on set of like where the actor can go.
Yeah. And I think one of the traps sometimes in commercial acting and like directing is because it's so specific. And like, if like the timing has to happen sooner, or like, can you like your eye pop here, or, and they're very like oddly technical things that aren't tied to thought.
Right.
You can fall into a trap of like getting so specific. The actor like is like, okay, I'm just, is this what you want? I can only move so much right here at this moment, at this time. And like, you then kind of get shoved a little bit into a corner, like trying to be this thing that someone's trying to shape you to be. Whereas I think I like to see it as like a sandbox. So the boundaries are, the walls of the sandbox. And that may mean, hey, this is still a positive experience here. And your reaction is, can be like as positive up to here and then as dry as to here. And like, this is your range of motion in the frame. And we know that at this, like around this beat, like this brings you, this catches you off guard in some way. But whether that catching you off guard is like pleasing or, curious or, like it leaves room, that's up for you to explore. And that's like versions we could explore. But like, this is the time frame and this is kind of like client's boundary here, my boundary here. And like, now I give you all this information and you bring whatever you're going to bring to it. But like, feel free in the process and know that this is the world that you're playing in. So then we're meeting each other halfway versus me like pushing you into this corner.
And it probably helps, like you said, you try to prepare your actors with as much information before the shoot. So, and with references, so they probably have that. And one thing you told me, which I absolutely loved, and I think is such a great tip, is that you often say you'll set up a meeting, and maybe everybody does this, and I don't, and I'm an idiot for not doing this, but is you'll do a call with your talent before the shoot, where you can kind of prepare them for everything, because it's so true. Like it is crazy. There's so much time you pick your talent, and then you might not have a call back with them at all. Like you're just going off audition tapes or headshots from previous work. And then you book them and then you just see them on set and they show up and they're like, yeah, I have no idea what I'm even doing here. Like they're like, oh yeah, I knew it was for a dog food commercial, but that was it. So like, they're just kind of figuring stuff out on the fly, and it already is kind of a stressful environment, or, you're under schedule and now they're just being tossed into it, trying to find their character. So, I'm just curious, like, what do you discuss on those pre-calls? Kind of like, how do you prepare your actors on those calls?
Totally. It depends on the shoot. And sometimes I don't have the luxury of doing it every shoot.
Right.
Typically this last one, sorry, actors. We weren't able to, but I will kind of talk to them a little bit about how I like to work. I like to run series. I like to give them the note, and then that also, running a series, I find, gives them more freedom, because it's not like start, stop, start, stop, start, stop. They could like kind of tap into a flow and have free range of optioning out some things. So it's almost like they get it out of their system. So I kind of check in being like, is that something you feel okay with? Did you like that? And like, is there any specific way that you like to be directed? Because some people like to be spoken to in thought. Some people like to be spoken to a little bit more directly and like technically. It depends on the actor. And I'll kind of tell them also like schedule wise, like how fast we will be moving, like if it's a really crazy one. So I'll try to download as much information as possible, because there isn't much time to explain. It saves us time on set. I did a shoot recently where it was testimonials for a bank, and it was real users. And some of them were actors, some of them were like content creators, and they were reading very technically scripted lines. But it was also, we wanted it to come off as natural as possible, like a conversation, which can be kind of hard when the lines are so technical. And I basically interviewed them. We just connected as people to feel comfortable with each other at first, because I think that goes a long way.
For sure.
Understand personality. And then it was an easier shoot in the sense that there were 2 setups and like we were there all day. So I asked them, like what their favorite music was and their favorite snacks were. And I talked them through how the day was going to go. And if there was any way that they liked being communicated to, or some of them actually weren't actors. So I walked them through like the set and how much, what it would feel like, and how it's really just us. And again, just like offloading them with a lot of information. And then when we got to set, I had a little speaker by their feet, and in between takes would like play the music that they like, that we talked about, and they had their snacks. And so they could kind of like, I think music is like a nice comfort for a vibe and energy on set, just like to be able to relax into, versus like, people are setting up lights and equipment sounds, and it's just kind of, you're like silently waiting.
Right. Yeah. That's like, I just worked on it was a photos first job and I was actually asked to DP this job. And it was photos first. It was all this product and lifestyle stuff. And the photographer just had like so much music bumping. And I was like, I don't know. There's so many times I'm like, I should have been a photographer, damn it. Like, it's like you only have to work with like a few frames versus 24 frames per second. And like, they're just having a great time, like jamming, listening to music, And I'm like, it's so rare that we can like just have music playing. So like, I think that's awesome that you're able to like did that, because it does help the mood big time. Like everybody's like dancing around. I'm like, this is badass. So
That's so funny. Yeah, I feel like I've been on shoots as an actor, like still shoots, and we'll do it, and then they're like, "All right, that's a wrap," and I'm like, "Wait, we're done? That's crazy."
Yeah, I know, it's insane. Okay, one thing you talked about was flow, and like which and doing like a series of takes, which I absolutely love doing that as well. Again, it kind of goes back to this energy and vibe thing. It's like you can just start to find a rhythm, if you just like keep going and going, like keep the roll. And like, that's what I'm always big on, is just like, sometimes it's hard because the AD, I feel like ADs always want to like cut, okay, reset, and like maybe it's like one of the ADs I always work with. He always wants to just like have a new take. And I'm like, dude, let us just find a rhythm. Like just keep the roll and like, let's find it. And I'll like tell you when to cut. You know what I mean? Because it is true that like starting and stopping, and then you're getting 100 notes. It's like hard to remember all that, where if you're just like, just let me kind of feel it and find it. I think that's huge,
And then it feels like the takes feel more precious. I think is the opposite of what I want the actors to feel. And I think you can just get more takes.
Right.
If you just keep it rolling.
Yeah.
My head of post always knows to order extra drives for my show because I like always run series.
One other thing too, I was curious about, because this just happened on my last shoot last week, was how do you convey an emotion or a tone to an actor or actress you're working with? It's not like just be like, okay, like be funny, or you need to be sad. You know what I mean? Because like there's so many ways to do that. And I was working with this actress, and we were shooting this breakup scene in a car, and the tone just like wasn't. There's one line where like I wanted a little bit of like ditziness or sarcasm to it, but it wasn't coming across that. And then I was just like, you need to be like, let's like Legally Blonde, and I mentioned like this part in Legally Blonde, and I'm like, it should almost be said like that. And it like clicked for her, and she's like, okay, she's like, that was a great note. Cause then she like nailed it. But I could tell I was like not getting her there fast enough. And so every take I was like thinking of like, okay, how can I say this better? So I'm curious from like an actor's point, like what are the ways that are like the best for you to be like, okay, I understand what they want to like, to get to that tone or that emotion, versus just like, could you say it? Could you be more sad, or could you be more happy? Like those are pretty vague things, and you could take that any way. So I'm just curious if you have any tricks or thoughts on that.
Do you remember the line?
Yeah. So it was, you're literally ruining my health. Like, actually.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like, again, I think it's like a situation and backstory, really. It's and of thought. So is he really ruining her health? The joke is that.
Yeah, so they were, because it was actually a pack of cigarettes. This is for a anti-tobacco thing. So they are trying to quit smoking, so they're breaking up. So it was like I had like a shot from like the passenger side, and so she's saying like this, like, you're literally ruining my health, and then I cut to the shot through the windshield, and it's like this realization of like actually, and it was like kind of this realization, but I wanted to say it in kind of like this, like, because I almost ditzy way, because it needed to be comedic in tone, because we set the spot up as like very serious, and you think it's a real breakup, but then it needs to start to get to like the humor, and so like there's lines like, you're toxic, you're ruining my health, my mom was right about you, things like that.
Yeah, I would maybe translate it in like, oh, you're the type of person that blames everyone else for any flaw or fault that you have. Like, no matter what, even in the simplest thing, like, you made me step here, like, take a step this way. And does that make sense?
Yeah.
God, what's her name in Legally Blonde?
I know, Elle McPherson, right? Elle?
Yeah. And then you can be like, yeah, as if you were like Elle McPherson in Legally Blonde or something, which is a great note. because she has that kind of baked into her a little bit.
Right.
And she has like a tone of like a little bit more of a Valley Girl.
Exactly.
So Valley Girl tone is great. And then, or you can be like a drier tone where you're a little more April from Parks and Rec, Sometimes getting that specific, I hesitate on getting that specific because sometimes an actor can like want to imitate that exactly when you want to like find where that lives in your body. Like, where's my dry tone?
Yeah.
Where's my Elle McPherson? It's not exactly like that.
Yeah.
It's you get the intention behind it.
Right. No, I think that's a great point. I had it go the other way once where I told somebody it was kind of like Ron Burgundy, and then they went very like everything was almost a question, like I'm Ron Burgundy, or like it was so Ron Burgundy that like then every time now the spot plays, somebody was like, they sound like Ron Burgundy. And I'm like, oh, damn it.
I also find that I do a lot of exploration in callbacks, and, like auditions. I will be like 2 scripts, 1 to script, 1 like in your own words with script, and then 1 like feel free to like riff off of it just so I could understand where they live and like what their instincts are. And then in the callbacks, I tend to run really long callbacks because I also love, as an actor, you have to like, you find out you get a callback or an audition the day before, and you kind of have to like rearrange your whole schedule. Sometimes they're in person, you have to go, drive, go, do this thing, and then you like get in the room, and like if you get like 1 take or maybe 2 takes, and then it was just, I don't know. Sometimes you can walk out of there being like, oh, well.
Yeah.
Fine. So I have this want for actors to like walk out of the room feeling like they played and like got to exercise their muscles of being an actor. So I tend to run longer callbacks and like workshop things with each one. And then I'll kind of figure out like what are fun things to play with or based off what they're bringing. And then it'll give me new ideas. And then I'll always make a note in my phone and have ways I want to version it out. Like I would have, all the ways that I could think of beforehand to play with that I can reference. And then if anything new comes up on set, then I'll, riff off of that too.
Right. Yeah, I love that because it is true. Like there's a lot of times I don't know exactly what the tone is maybe for the character, or I'm like fighting between 2 kind of tonalities I want it to be delivered. I'm like, oh, maybe I want it to be, do I want it to be like really serious and then like you reveal like the joke, or should it be like really over the top, approach to the whole thing? And so, I got balloons popping up. I've never had that happen. That was exciting. It's my birthday. So it's fun to play in those callbacks or auditions where they might do something that you never even thought of. And you're like, oh, that's like brilliant. Like that's it. That's how we should take this, and I think that's what makes it so much fun working with actors.
Yeah. Just when it surprises you to a whole different tone and you're like, that's it. There you are, Peter, Yeah, that's the best. We just did one where we had this like, the character was this intern that like does a flashback into a world where she's retelling this story. And as she retells the story, it's kind of like drunken history. And she's an executive. And it was always written into the creative. Like she's kind of like a naive intern that like sits and like maybe wears a sweater vest and has like glasses showing she's like kind of young and bashful and naive and shy, and then she like turns into this kind of like positive exec. And then as we were auditioning, we had a bunch of options for that type of character, and then this girl came along where she just kind of spoke everything like super dry and was like, yeah, and then this is what happened. And then he said, and then she said. And it was like this full confident, like Gen Z kind of like almost didn't give a fuck. So,
Right.
can I
No,
swear here?
absolutely. Yeah. Fuck, say whatever the fuck you want.
Okay. And there was this confidence that I was like, yes. I was like, that's it. Because we don't have to fall into these tropes of what that is. And I think that's also why I like commercials, is breaking a little bit of like stigma in kind of tropes that we create in society. And she just brought this like confidence. She didn't need to be shy. She didn't need to be naive. Like she just like knew what she was doing. And yeah, it made for a really fun character to shoot.
I'm just curious, working with other directors and not having you name any directors, but like, what are some of like the worst things that have happened to you as an actor? Like what's the worst way to work with actors that just like, you know, does not set you up for success at all?
Yeah. I would say keep Video Village as far away from the actor as possible. Or like don't be careful for like walkies to be open on set. Is one thing. I would say for directors specifically, I think going back to that like kind of pushing you into a corner, or getting really specific on and don't start notes off with negative like no like don't do this, do this. I think is not a great for the mind,
right?
Because you want to uplift. So don't means like you're doing it wrong. And then I'd say speak as much in thought as possible, because if you're like bigger eyes, can you do big like, or make the inflection go up here? It makes you kind of into a robot versus you want it a little bit brighter, and you're more optimistic, you know, and then it goes up. Like the thought creates, and I know that it can be a lot more work and maybe not somebody's first instinct, which is the hard part. But I think being shoved into a corner and getting so specific about what you have in your mind that if you get too specific, you're blocking somebody in, versus
right.
You just saw the bigger picture and like let them have more freedom. I think more magic is created within that versus the very specific idea that you have in your mind. And I also had somebody once yell at me, because I go through the boards like so intimately when I'm an actor. And I'm like, okay, we're doing this shot now, we're doing this shot now. Even so, when somebody's not communicating with me, I'm like, oh, okay, I could pick up what shot we're on the medium. Okay. I remember one time I was doing a crane shot, director not to be named, but it was a big director. And they were doing some crane shot and it wasn't in the storyboards. And I was like, oh, what is this shot? And where are we in the script? And he was like, will you turn? He was like, turn to your right. And I was like, okay. So I turned to my right. And then he's like, turn to your left. And so I turned to my left. And he's like, when I tell you to turn to your left, don't turn right back to the place that you just were. Like, turn halfway back, not back to that exact place. And I'm just like, and this is like, I think this person also just like, it's one of those people that likes yelling.
Yeah.
Kind of commanding themselves as like the person in charge.
Right.
But I'm there like, oh man, that guy could have just said, split the difference, you know?
Yeah, right.
Instead, like went off on like some type of like lecture, you know?
Right. But I feel like sometimes actors get this like separation, right? And it's not, we don't like your camera department, your DP, like you're always asking them what they think, for, what they think is going to make this the best, where I don't know if like that's what actors get a lot, but I feel like it could be valuable, or you tell me if you think that's like helpful, where like sometimes you might be like, well, what do you think this character would do? Because that's kind of like what you brought them on, is to bring this character to life, and treating them like they are the expert on this part of the commercial.
Totally. I remember that in our conversation, we spoke about how, it's crazy. You spend so much time having meetings with all your keys, and your performer is just as much of a key on your set as anyone else. So that's why I think the Zoom meetings when you have time help, but like giving them as much information as possible so they can do their job, right? Because the less information you have, the less empowered you feel. And then the less you feel like, if you get all these notes, you're like, who am I? You just kind of aren't as included.
Yeah.
And I think that, especially in comedy, I remember once I worked with Jake Szymanski, he did jury duty, and we did and a bunch of other great stuff, Adam and Dave, and we did a Redfin commercial together, and he told me like the situation, and then didn't really get specific otherwise about anything. Just kind of, I found it throughout doing some takes, and like I would improv something, and then he would like get excited about something that I would do, and then like add on top of that. And then we got to basically find this place in this character that was created by the both of us, but stemming from a place of like pure freedom.
The spot we're going to break down, you directed and acted in. What is that process like? Because like it's like one of the reasons I hate direct DPing, because I think there's enough things to focus on as a director, and when I have to DP, it's like my mind is split, and I always notice that I'll start off doing really well, but then like, so I just on the spot we were talking about, it just happened where we did two 30s in a day, and the first 30 I felt like very dialed. Then the last 30 I was like struggling with the blocking, and I wasn't even paying attention to performance at all. Like I just like it went out the window. Like I was just so focused on the how the blocking was working and the framing I wasn't liking. So like, how do you do that? Like, how do you kind of like be in the character mindset, but then also the director mindset?
Yeah, it's a good question. I guess I'm still trying to figure it out. And each time I do it, I learn a little bit more. I started off by doing just cameos and things that I did.
Mm-hmm.
And it was funny. We would do a blocking, and then I would give notes. And then when we got the footage and I was looking at it, I was like, oh, this is a great take. But the only note I have is for myself, because I didn't get to see a rehearsal of myself doing the blocking. And then when we did this spot specifically, I guess from the technical side of things, I made an animatic, which was helpful. So I kind of got an understanding of my blocking and kind of where everything goes, and how we would transition into things. And I already maybe had a rehearsal of shooting myself. So I was the only one that kind of knew. You're the only one that kind of knows where it should go. But at a technical level, like, how do you review that? I think the thing that I learned the most was, because we had an iPad, so where we could have playback, but by the time that shoot specifically our schedule was so tight, like by the time we ended the take, we had to move on to the next take.
Right.
Couldn't review. And so I found that the second day, I would have them autoplay and playback. So if I would just look down at an iPad, it would just be showing me. So like even if it was 15 seconds in between the next take, I could like find a note to give myself.
Right. Right.
Makes sense.
Yeah, no, for sure. Because that's what I was wondering. So I'm like, I feel like you would have to watch after every take, but like, you know, that could really slow down the day if that's how you have to do it. Are you like, who are you leaning on the most then? Or is it like your DP almost becomes like your, you know, almost like another director or something? Like who are you kind of communicating with, or like putting the most trust in when you're behind the camera?
You know, it's kind of a lonely thing.
Yeah.
With doing both. I mean, directing can be lonely as it is, but when I finish a take, or like maybe I'll run a series on myself and be like, oh, okay, I know I wanted to do it this way. I'm going to do one more. And then I'll do the other one. And then I'll be like, okay, I'm going to do another one. Or I'll just run a series and without telling anyone, just going off on my own, and they're not going to cut until I say cut. And then there's just silence. And then a moment of like, did we get it? Like, I'm so used to hearing someone, whether it's myself or someone behind the camera saying like, all right, like, great.
Right.
On this one specifically, though, I did the job with Sandwich Production Company.
Yeah.
You know them?
Yeah. So that's great. So when I was asking that first question about the explainers in the Bay Area, because like I always think of Sandwich because they kind of like set the tone for that type of video. Yeah. Like I remember like 10 years ago watching a Slack video they did and just being like blown away because they made explainers cool.
Yeah. That's totally their niche and they do it really well. And it's funny, they're an LA company.
Oh, are they? I thought they were San Francisco. Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're LA, and their creative director and owner, Adam Lisagor, he used to, like when they were coming up, he would be the spokesperson in a lot of his own.
Right. Okay.
So when this video actually first came up, I casted for it. I ran auditions. There was somebody that I really wanted to cast for this in person, and the schedule didn't line up with their schedule. So I was like a little bummed about it. And Adam was like, I think you should just do it. And I was kind of like, it's a lot. Like, it's a lot of talking. Like, I'm on camera the whole time. And our schedule is very tight. But if I was going to try this with anyone, I feel like Adam and Sandwich would be the company to do it with because they have the most experience in that. And he knows what it's like being in front of camera. So he was my creative director. And for like a portion of it, he would be there as someone I could bounce off of or like
totally
questions to.
Yeah, it's huge.
And it was really nice having him in my corner on that. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, sweet. Let's watch it here and then we'll talk about it more. So I'm going to share my screen here.
Art gives me feelings. Maybe you're like me. You want art like this in your life, on your walls, giving you feelings too. But investing in art, that gets complicated real fast. It's a whole world with its own rules and codes and lingo. If I could invest in art somewhere more comfortable, I would. And I do with Peggy. Peggy's an app for collectors to discover, buy, and even sell art. And when you find...
You okay?
It's perfect.
Let me see.
I need this on my wall. Peggy lets you bring bold, original artwork into your life. Art that can truly transform. That can truly transform your entire life. Artists can capture a unique, secure digital fingerprint of their art using the Peggy app. Then I verify its authenticity using my phone and register myself as its new owner. With AI, it's artificial intelligence.
So.
It's all mine now.
Okay.
Put it.
Yeah. Good there.
Okay, check me out. I'm a collector. I'm an investor. I'm an art world player.
Sauce.
And this art is now a part of my life. It's adding color, texture, meaning, giving me good feelings every day. And if it's time to move on,
Sure we can't work this out?
please, shh, don't.
But I love you.
I'll see you at trivia. Peggy makes it just as easy to sell your artwork. And royalties from the sale go back to the artist and the gallery. Yes. Now I can get a new painting. Actually, 2 new paintings. Peggy is the new way in to a whole world of art. Oh my. So download it now. You should download it now.
All right, Peggy.
Peggy, hear that? Was I? I didn't hear it, but
No, okay, yeah, because I can hear it on my end. So I was wondering about that. I was like, I wonder if she can hear this because that's probably a long time to be sitting in silence, being like, is this playing or not?
yeah, I'm still examining all the things.
Yeah.
I remembered new things actually that I remember I had a stand-in, one of my best friends who I run Softfold with and an actor friend, she came in and was my stand-in. So I could kind of observe her on screen and mimic what I wanted to do. And then, so I could see how it looked. And then
Yeah.
I think I actually, because of the director actor being the same person, I think I saved a lot of time on set because everything, all the notes were already in my head.
Yeah.
I just did them and then executed it all. And then it cuts out this like time of notes and like middlemaning.
Yeah. I was gonna ask you about that because I feel like it's similar to a lot of directors who edit their own stuff. It's like it's all in their head. They know exactly what to do, right? So it's just like, you can move through things a lot faster because you're not having to explain it to it. There's no trial and error. You're like, no, this is what I want it to be.
Yeah. And I think as an actor too, even in commercials, like you want, when something feels right in your body, like when you say something or like when the thought feels right or when it like lands and the words and the thoughts connect to each other and like it feels truthful. And so I can keep doing it until it feels right. And when it feels right, I know that it's going to be right. It's almost like you don't even have to review it.
Yeah.
Just something. It's just one of those things that like exists.
Right. That's cool. Well, how did this job come about? Like where did it come from?
I was hired for a commercial for a sandwich job.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember at the time, I don't know, my schedule was kind of crazy. And like, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to do this job. My friend was, John was like, you should just do it. Like you could make a new relationship, just like do the job. And I was like, yeah, okay, you're right. I just needed somebody to like kind of push me over. And I went and I shot this job and Adam Lisagor was directing. And so we shot and then we were just kind of shooting the shit on the side on set. And I think we were talking about Melania Vaintrub, who does the AT&T girl. and how she like directs her own spots and things. And we just got on the topic of that, and the topic of like directing. It somehow got brought up that I was directing, that I also directed, and just like a soft mention. And he reached out to me after the shoot and was like, "Oh, you weren't kidding. I like looked up your stuff. I have something that I think you'd be great for." And so he then came to me with Peggy, and it was a direct to client job. And yeah, Sandwich is like a really cool and special company because they have this niche of doing these videos with this type of comedy so well. They don't do like treatments. They don't like need treatments. They're just kind of like, he was kind of like, here's the job. Here's the script. He wrote the script and run with it. And
That's cool.
We basically just shot it. I mean, I made the animatic to be like, hey, just so you know, like this is what we're doing.
Right.
And I know a lot of directors, another director friend that works with them that, you know, he does make his own treatments and stuff, but it's like, they are like, you hire them to do the thing
right
they do well, and you just trust them to do it. And like, that's how they've structured their company, which is really cool.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask you kind of about the brief process and like what the brief was like, but maybe I'm with this type of work, like, you know, like how much creative control did they give you? Like, were you able to just kind of like take the script and make it whatever you want? And then if so, like how do you make this type of stuff cool and fun? You know, because explainers can be tough, you know, especially because they're always like, oh, we got to mention this detail about the product and this feature, you know, and it can be, I think, sometimes tricky, or the tone changes and it's not consistent, where this does a very good job of like being entertaining throughout and having the same tone without being like, here's a little bit of comedy and now let's get into some like nitty gritty details of the product or the app.
Yeah. It's a good question. And I think from what I can remember, I think it was just like a good combination of like a good script and then that already had stuff baked into it. Like, hey, we're thinking we can't show the art, so we're thinking that it's kind of just this like glowing thing like in Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's great. I was like, yeah, what if it like, and then I punch that up and I'm like, oh, what if it gets like brighter or something, or like there's wind coming at you, or it becomes almost inconvenient at one point. And kind of adding on to that, and then finding points in the script where I think blocking wise, like, I think the moment is probably my favorite moment from that video, when she shushes his beard. Like the beard was written into the script, and then I added the blocking of the moment, and maybe and then he improv'd the "I'll see you at trivia," or I improv'd "I'll see you at trivia." Wait, did I say that?
Yeah, you say that.
Yeah, I'll see you at trivia. That was like an improv I did on the day. And we had a couple improvs from him, and that guy was so funny, that actor. I wish that we could have more of him in the show. But like, for example, we shot a bunch of the stuff that didn't make the cut. I did transitional jokes throughout. I've done a lot of explainers where I'm walking and talking.
Mm-hmm.
The transition is, I think, always one of the things that becomes, maybe for my like perfectionist brain, like a make or break on like the timing of the transition, when it hits with the flow of like the talking. And so it's something that I really hone in on. And so for this one, it was almost therapeutic. I did a bunch of transitions where I like walk out of screen this way, and then I end up coming back into screen this way, and like thinking that I transitioned myself out, and then like leaving the screen into a new place, being like, okay, here we are, you know, or just like little inside like meta jokes.
Right.
If we would have put it in the cut, like it's already what, 2 minutes and 40 seconds. It would have been like a much longer video. But I basically just added as many jokes as possible that I thought was funny. And then when we cut it down, you know, the ones that survived, I feel like were a nice balance, but I think we had a lot to work with.
Was there anything that like was kind of like unexpected that happened on set? You know, like any kind of major like problem solving that you had to do where you're like, okay, like, you know, we have to pivot because, you know, XYZ.
We honestly, I mean, it was a crazy packed shoot, and we were just like so out of time everywhere that we went.
Yeah, how many wardrobe changes do you have in this thing too?
It's funny. I was trying to remember. I worked with my stylist, and I was like, "Hey, I'm talking about Peggy. Do you remember anything about the shoot?" And she was like, "I just remember you like trying to like me like trying to button up your pants while like this person was talking to you about the AD was talking to you about the next shot, and somebody was like trying to do your hair, and you were like on the phone with your mom because my mom was actually the mom on the phone."
Oh, I was gonna ask you that. Yeah.
So it was just kind of this like all things are happening at once, but
Right.
team. So we really just flowed together. Honestly, nothing crazy unexpected happened on this. I just remember it being really hard to find a location that we wanted to look with our budget, that we wanted to look like a gallery and a home, and then we couldn't find one with a window. So Sandwich was like, "Oh, it's fine. We'll just VFX in a window."
Oh, nice.
Oh, okay.
So this is all VFX right here.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. So this whole thing was though shot in a gallery, and then you just propped this out to look like a house?
No, it was shot in just a blank white wall.
Oh.
Space that we brought in white wall panels to feel like a gallery, and like pedestals and paintings, and then
Yeah.
the corner of the white wall studio that just happened to have a pillar.
Okay. No, that's awesome. And this was 2 days?
2 days, yeah.
And you said you do like a lot of walk and talks, and like, do you have like kind of like a process for those? Because I feel like the walk and talk is, if you're a director, you're going to do a walk and talk. It's something that's asked a lot, you know, and every time, like it's like everything, but like I just got bored sitting there walk and talk, and it's like, oh, do you have any examples of a walk and talk, you know, and then you're sending everything you have, but you know, I don't want to say they're straightforward, because I think to do them well, like there is a lot of timing things and like you said, transitional moments that can happen, and you have so much like little fun things that happen in here. So I'm just curious if you have generally a process when you get a job like this that you're kind of like, okay, this is my foundation for walk and talks, and we can start with like kind of these building blocks.
Yeah, I think it's honestly, it's kind of, I think I start building at like what the tone, I have the tone that I want to gravitate towards. But I love discovering tone, because you can turn the dial just like a little bit to the right and it becomes kind of like a different spot. I don't know if you ever saw those homes.com spots
Yeah.
with Elizabeth Banks.
Yep.
Yeah, like that's one of my favorite types of tones, where it's like you're still like hitting the joy or positivity of kind of like the brand and how this product has like, you know, brightened up your, you know, we're delivering this in a warm way. while also like subtly just slightly winking at the audience. I think it's just finding those winks is where I start.
Yeah.
Because everybody can watch somebody talking to camera.
Right. It's like,
what else is happening? And like, I think as a performer, it's a niche. Like, there is a connection to the lens, and like some people can nail it. And it's like, who's that relationship that you're talking to? And I think that's kind of what I go back to when I'm like, you can feel it when it feels right. Is like when there's like a true connection.
right.
And
Well,
then transferring information in a way that is palatable for the audience.
For sure. And I like you said, like these little winks, like I don't, this is like, it's just kind of simple. And you talked about Pulp Fiction. Like I love this shot, like when, you guys kind of like open up the art to scan it. And it's like the POV shot, of it. And then like, but it's not just this, like, this is like hilarious when he comes over your shoulder, it's such a great little moment. Or like there was another one I was looking for where there's like a snap zoom right here, or kind of like jumps in, like, and that probably was just in like the edit, but like there's just little things that help, like I think the pacing, or you put like these kind of little winks that I think really help separate these walk and talks.
Yeah, and those punch zooms, Adam I remember gave that note, and I was like, oh wow, that like just paced that up, because I did it pretty like sing-songy. Yeah, it was the exact timing in which I did it is exactly how I shot it, but just the punch in itself created like a little bit of an extra energy to it. And even like this like digital zoom right here on this spot. Shot.
Well, I love your performance on this one too. It's great.
Well, yeah, I kept trying to end this one in a cuss. And it couldn't. So this was the next best option.
Yeah, that's great. One question I had for you too is your style as an actor the same as a director?
It's a fun question. Honestly, I feel like this spot speaks to my tone of comedy the most. One, because it is me delivering it, and two, because a lot of these ideas came from my brain and then were executed with me in it. But as an actor, I find I get really excited in adapting to different tones and genre. And that's like, I get so excited playing between those worlds and like understanding someone's vision and the genre of their vision, and being able to play in that sandbox. So I think that's what I love about acting, is that there is not just like one place, even though you could thrive in one place for sure. Like in like a sitcom world with a specific type of comedy. I love that the art form it's like limitless in that way.
For sure. Well, before we kind of wrap up and get to the lightning round portion of the show, I want to mention and have you talk about your nonprofit. It's a nonprofit, right? Or did I just make that up? Is it a nonprofit? Is it just a thing?
That might be like the next step. I haven't taken it yet.
Okay. All right. Well, what?
Very open source thing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, talk to us about the Soft Hold Collective.
Soft Hold Collective is a Bay Area film directory, specifically highlighting women and non-binary and trans freelancers that work behind camera in the Bay. Yeah, and it just came from, I think I did a 48-hour film shoot with my friend Bailey, and we built like an all-women crew. And there was something that, like, talk about set energy. Like, there was something just like really magical about the energy that was created on that set, and the anticipation of each other's needs. And there was like a softness and like an openness to everything that was happening that like made a 48-hour film shoot feel like so seamless and fun, and like everybody had a say. And we started building, we were getting names from all over the Bay, and we started building a list of creatives and just have found more and more and more ever since. So if you're looking to crew up in the Bay specifically and want to diversify your crew, and even, you should go there because there's like a lot of talent, and it's really easy to, everybody has a website, you could click on it. You should get a sense of their vibe and whatnot. But it's, yeah.
No, it's awesome and super important. And one question I had too, because that soft hold is just for the Bay, but do you know of any other places where, in other markets or where people may be able to find crew members? Because like I get that asked a lot, people coming to town, or even here like looking for more like women or people of color to get on set. And, sometimes in smaller markets, it's hard to find certain roles that fit that. So is there a good source, that is like soft hold? Or are you going to spread soft hold nationally? Is that the intention?
I would love to do that. If anybody is interested in coming on board and doing that, it's a good question, because Free the Work existed.
Mm-hmm.
It does not exist, but that was the place for people to go. And so hearing that shut down was really heartbreaking. And like, yeah, it's like, I don't know where to turn to. I mean, asking, obviously, we're a recommendation based industry. And that's really the only way forward. So I think that something like this, it takes a lot of work to like track freelancers down to give you information. But I think it's a great system because we also do vet everybody. And yeah, I don't know. Can people like write in and tell us if they know?
I don't know.
Where to go? Because I
don't
just
know.
find the Instagram, and I have a big folder saved of like collaborators that I want to work with. And kits and stuff.
Well, yeah, maybe we'll if anybody knows who's listening, you can send Syra and I a message, and we'll try to get something like that figured out. Or if you want to help Syra kind of spread this nationally, that would be awesome. I think it's a great mission. And what is it's just the softholdcollective.com, right? And the same is for the socials.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right, great. Well, let's get to the lightning round here. I want to be cautious of your time as we're running a little long, but you are so easy to talk to, and I love your perspective on everything. So it's been awesome. All right, so quick hitting questions. Don't need to spend a lot of time on these, but number one, what directors inspire you? And this can be film or commercial.
Okay. Michelle Gondry, Hiro Murai, Yorgos Lanthimos. I feel like commercially, one of my favorite commercial directors is Kim Gehrig.
Mm-hmm.
Like everybody should know Kim Gehrig. I love Solomon Lighthelm. I met him a couple weeks ago at South by, or a couple months ago at South.
Oh, awesome.
You're an awesome dude. I just like his perspective of creating and how he creates, and that's really inspiring. He's an inspiring dude. And then I like stuff like, you know, Tim and Eric stuff, like Wise. Yeah, that's what comes to the top of my head right now.
All right, great. And what inspires you like outside of directing? Like, you know, what's maybe something that you use to kind of reset, fill your cup outside of directing?
Oh yeah. So when I just finished this last shoot, I remember I woke up, sleeping in, first of all. And then I find so much joy and like calm in scrolling Facebook Marketplace and like finding like items and deals, because when I have downtime, I love like finding a deal on Facebook Marketplace and then grabbing it and like trying it out in my house and like rearranging my house basically. And then I'll resell stuff and
You're like my wife. You're a hoarder.
yeah. Well, I try to like be like a minimal hoarder in the way of sometimes it gets bad, but I found that, and I love going camping. My partner and I have a camper van.
Oh, nice.
That we will like road trip out and take our cat. He's a camper too. And then I've recently been working with a public theater group, like a community theater group in LA called the Public Assembly. They are like wonderful when I have time to like, they do these plays like once a month. They pop up for one night only. And you have like 2 to 3 weeks to like workshop them and like rehearse them, and they like live and die for one night.
That's awesome.
When I have downtime in between jobs and stuff, that's really fun to like keep your, you know, muscles working in its own way, and like live performance is its own thing too. So,
all right. So what tool can you not live without? This could be pre-production tool, on-set tool, or in post.
I have this app on my phone called Splice, which is basically just an editing app. It's like a really, really dumbed down version of Premiere in its own way. But like I edit all my auditions on it, and then I edit all my like animatics on it. And it's really user friendly to get really specific and nuanced in terms of like frame by frame, which I feel like a lot of phone apps don't do.
We always have the previous guest leave a question for the next guest, and the last guest wants to know, when is the last time you laughed like a child?
Honestly, it was on set last week during lunch with my creative director at this company called Strange Family, Cody Beard. We were sitting there working during our lunch, trying to figure out which buttons on the spot we were going to pitch to client. But all of our buttons were like, just, I don't think would ever make the spot. They were like, one of them was, this guy's like, I've always wanted a son. And the other guy goes, Papa? Out of context, it still makes sense, I think.
Yeah.
Another one where he's like, wee, I'm a real boy. And then there was another one that we were pairing all these like random audio bits together to try to like make a button. And the other one was like, this guy's like, look, he's wearing a muscle suit. And he's all like jacked and sitting.
Yeah.
He goes, do you feel it? And the other guy goes, shh.
That's awesome.
Anyways, we were arguing between whether it's I've always wanted a son, and the response was, Papa? Or the response was, yes, Papa. And which one the client would go for, because yes, Papa means that the guy would really accept anyone as his Papa. And the Papa means that he would be have this longing for, there's this like longer longing that is maybe more resonating amongst audiences. We brought like more people from the agency to like sit down at the table. Really ways.
That's awesome.
Story long, we were just like crying during lunch.
That's sweet.
And we'll see if any of that makes this fun, because I shot them.
Oh, okay. That's great. All right. Well, now it's your turn. So if you'll leave a question for our next guest.
Oh yeah. What? Well, it was kind of a two-part question that maybe you've already asked, but it's like, what's the one thing on a shoot day that basically will create you being the best you? Like, what's one thing that you could do and do on a shoot day to
That's great.
make the day go as smooth as possible?
Yeah. No, I like that.
There's a question.
Yeah.
I try to meditate is like my thing. If I can like get to set 20 minutes earlier, I will like sit in my car and meditate, and it's like a game changer. Like, okay, what's the game changer thing?
Yeah. No, I love that. Cause yeah, I think mine is similar. It's like, if I can like move my body somehow before it's set, quick run, workout, bike ride, I work a lot better that way.
Yeah, like what sets up your creative mind for
Yeah.
a shoot day?
Yeah. Well, that's great. Well, awesome. So Syra, where can people find you at? What are your socials, website?
Yeah, my social is on Instagram at Syranara, Syranara. And then my website is syramccarthy.com. And then I also have an acting website called syraacts.com.
Great.
Simply.
Sayonara. I love that. That's so good. Well, Sayonara to you. Thank you so much for being on the show. Loved your insight, and like, it's a great episode for people who want to work with actors and kind of up their game there. I really appreciate your time and insight. Like this was so great.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I could just talk for days about this. So appreciate it. It was fun.
Cool. All right. Well, see you later. All right, that does it for another show. Thanks for watching the Commercial Directors Podcast, and please subscribe to the show on any of the platforms where you listen to your podcast and on YouTube. YouTube's a great place where you can actually watch the breakdown, so make sure you subscribe. Also, give us a follow on the gram at the Commercial Directors Pod, and please DM us there. We would love to hear from you on potential guests you'd like on the show and what topics you want to learn more about. Or you can email me at evan@swinehartco.com, and that's SWINEHARTCO.com.